My name is Marty Blank, and I'm the new president of the Institute for Educational Leadership. It's a real privilege to follow in the footsteps of Betty Hale and Mike Eustand and others who've guided the Institute in the past. My vision of the Institute is as an organization that really works hard to help this nation mobilize all the assets that it has to educate our kids. Schools have a primary responsibility for the education of our kids, but I know, as do many people who work with kids and families, that families matter and the resources and supports that communities offer are also critical. So that's why the Institute's mission is to develop leaders, to develop programs, organizations, and systems that are able to work across boundaries to get work done for young people. In our work at IEL, for example, with youth with disabilities, we know that we need to connect the education system, the foster care system, the mental health system, and sometimes the juvenile justice system, because we find young people working in all these systems. I know that at the local level, when we're trying to help educate our kids, we have to pay attention to health issues, to vision, to hearing, and to other factors that influence their learning. So working across boundaries is the core part of the mission of the Institute that I believe that distinguishes it from other organizations that are doing wonderful work in schools, in health systems, in community development, in the arts, and in other important arenas, in mental health. But we're trying as an institute to build capacity of individuals, organizations, and systems to work across these boundaries. My guiding light in this work is John Gardner, who was a former secretary of HEW and the founder of Common Cause. And in his book on leadership, Gardner talks about the fact that in this world where we have so many systems that bang into each other and collide with each other, we need leaders who understand that getting the results they want requires them to work across boundaries. And that if they don't work across boundaries, not only are they not going to get the result they need, but they may be harming their own institution. They may not be creating the capacity for their institution to succeed on what is its core mission. And so here at the Institute, in the work as we go forward, we're going to be trying to develop more leaders who have the ability to work across these boundaries. We're going to do that try to do that in the early childhood field, where we work with people who run pre-K programs and Heart Start programs and family daycare programs so they can be more intentional and connected to schools, and that our health partners can be involved. We're going to be doing that in an effort to grow more school and community leaders who can cross those boundaries. And we're going to be doing it through the Education Policy Fellowship Program, which we've now run for 46 years, and is our landmark program, trained and developed leaders in many states now, more than 6,500 graduates. But I want that program to begin to cross even more boundaries than it already has, because I think that's the kind of leaders that we need. We're going to try to ratchet up our workforce development efforts, particularly on behalf of young people, so that young people can make the transition from high school to college, from high school to work in ways that make sense, and so that our employers can be more deeply engaged and more involved in our schools. That workforce development, that work-based learning, that career development opportunities, where young people are off in the real world, can become part of what we do. And we're going to continue our concern, in particular for youth with disabilities, an often unforgotten population. Young people, whether they're have learning disabilities or physical disabilities, who really need our help and support, because they bring so many assets and so much energy and so much passion to their own growth and development, that we've got to get these systems and institutions really working together and really growing them. And finally, I intend to continue to be the director of the Coalition for Community Schools. I believe that IEL has been a terrific home for the Coalition. Its connections and relationships with national education organizations have proven invaluable to the work of the Coalition. I believe that we can build on IEL's networks to grow the Coalition and grow community schools. At the same time, we grow the work of the Institute by helping to develop the kind of principles we need for our public schools who can work across boundaries, by helping to develop leaders in central offices of school systems and in state education departments and other institutions who have that perspective on what it is we're trying to do. So I want my coalition partners and my IEL partners to know that I'm going to be working hard to move the community schools vision forward and to move forward the Institute as one of the nation's leading organizations that crosses boundaries to get the results we need for our kids. Our new president is doing more than one thing at a time, and people are saying, how many things can you do at a time? This country has done many things at the same time, and I believe that the kind of work that the Institute will do will help leaders cope with multiple challenges at the same time that relate to the education of our young people. And so that's my hope, that's my dream, and that's what I'll be working toward as the president of the Institute for Educational Leadership in the coming years.